Quiet days are always welcome, but on a recent peaceful July day, that serenity was disrupted when an 8-year-old Amur tiger named Valentina was killed during a routine introduction to a male tiger at Marwell Wildlife. She had been brought from the Czech Republic to breed. Staff reported no aggression beforehand. All signs were encouraging. Yet, within minutes of first contact, she was dead. The zoo publicized her death as a tragedy. But tragedy implies a violation of life, a rupture in the expected order. What if the natural way that tigers behave was on display? That is, what if this was the way of life or the order? Modern zoos present themselves as sanctuaries. They rescue, rehabilitate, and conserve, but they also enclose, display, and manage. In the case of apex predators, solitary, instinctual, territorial, the contradiction sharpens. The zoo preserves wildness by containing it. It stages nature while removing its terms. Valentina's death isn't an exception. It's a glimpse of the system working as designed. Part 1. Natural instincts in unnatural spaces. Amur tigers roam vast territories. They meet briefly to mate, then part. Mating requires timing, signaling, and choosing. In the wild, if a signal's off, a tiger walks away. In zoos, there's no away. Enclosures are designed to simulate nature but fail in one essential regard: space. Everything is close, compressed, curated. Tigers eat when fed, move when gates open, meet when introduced. The illusion of safety lies in observation, behavior charts, scent exchanges, and howdy doors. But instinct isn't a script, and even small misreads escalate when escape isn't an option. The zoo controls the stage, but not the actors. Donna Haraway writes of significant otherness, the irreducible otherness of animals that resists anthropocentric framing. In a zoo, that resistance is visible only when something breaks. Valentina didn't fail to cooperate. Instead, she asserted her terms in the encounter, and clearly the humanly designed structure of a zoo didn't hold. Part 2. The zoo as a carceral space. Michel Foucault's panopticon, constant observation as a means of discipline, finds a clean parallel in the zoo. Tigers are watched, recorded, evaluated. Their lives are choreographed for safety, education, and display. This isn't care, it's management. Introductions are engineered events. Tigers don't choose to meet. They are assessed, placed, and observed. Risk is calculated, but control is never total. Foucault reminds us, systems of discipline are never airtight. Resistance is always possible. When Valentina died, the protocols had been followed, and still, she died. This isn't a case of poor oversight. It's what happens when you compress wild instinct into institutional logic. The tiger didn't malfunction. It makes more sense to say that the system cracked. Part 3. Conservation or spectacle. Zoos justify captivity with conservation. They breed endangered species, fund research, teach children to care. But conservation isn't the only goal. Spectacle is harder to admit and harder to avoid. Zoos are built for viewing. Animals are given narratives: birth, growth, tragedy. Valentina was part of one. So was Pasha. The death interrupted the plot. No offspring, no happy arc, no marketable outcome. Breeding programs serve both biology and branding. They produce genetic diversity, but also headlines, fundraising boosts, visitor traffic. When an animal dies, especially one with a name and backstory, the language becomes careful, tragic, unexpected, rare. But fatal introductions happen regularly. Zurich, London, Minnesota, Leipzig, different zoos, same pattern. The problem isn't one event. It's the structure that demands proximity from creatures hardwired for distance. Part 4. The Ethics of Intervention. To intervene is unavoidable. In fact, captivity is itself an intervention. But how we narrate that intervention matters. Haraway has the notion of response and ability as responsibility, which demands more than care. It demands honest reckoning, not just protection, but accountability, not just mourning, but reflection. Valentina's pairing was a human decision, calculated, expert, well-intentioned. Still, it cost a life, and yet the institutional response, carefully worded, forward-facing, avoids structural critique. The event is described as unfortunate, not predictable. Real responsibility means asking whether the structure is worth its cost, whether breeding success justifies engineered risk, whether the tiger's agency ever enters the equation. If we claim to care for wild animals, we must care not just for their survival, but for the terms of that survival. Part 5, Conclusion. Valentina's death wasn't a fluke. It was a system functioning as intended until instinct exceeded the boundaries. We build institutions to preserve wildness, and in doing so, we confine it, reshape it, sometimes erase it. Foucault teaches us to read discipline where we see care. Haraway urges us to meet other species not with mastery but with humility. What happened at Marwell wasn't just a mistake, it was a signal that our structures, our logic, our expectations may be the real danger. If we want to live with wildness, we'll need to stop treating it like something we can manage.